Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Wednesday, the 28th of June. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Euan Robertson. How's it going, Euan?
Good. I was looking at all the comments, and we're on time again, so happy days.
Yeah, unlucky everyone. Lots of Matt Gunners going for 9:34. We had Just John firing in 9:33 when they'll appear. Mr. Beefy going for 36. We're on time, which is a rarity these days. But yeah, it's a good start to the day. Right, folks, lots to talk about. Before we do that, just a quick word, as ever, for our podcast sponsors, Seneca Hair Restoration, the #1 hair transplant group in Europe. You know the brief by now. Their transplants all carried out by doctors as well. So they know what they are doing when you go under the knife and look to get a hair transplant. They are a multi-award-winning clinic as well. So they know what they're doing. And I'm also told that the procedures take place in Glasgow, and their consultations are also available not only in Glasgow, but Edinburgh and Aberdeen as well. So no need to travel far for their first-class service. So do give them a call. As ever, all important links are in the description down below. And just a reminder, folks, as well, the live show, of course, taking place on July 28th at New Edmiston House. Cannot wait for that. Tickets go on public sale at 10 a.m. So make sure you're first to it. It's on the New Edmiston House website. So they may go on sale whilst we're still on air, but I will remind you just prior to 10 a.m. If you're looking to head over to the live show. It's sure to be a great occasion. Myself, Johnny, Joshua and Stevie Clifford will be there, along with an extra special guest as well. We've had a great take-up from our subscribers. Of course, they got the first refusal, if you like, on tickets, and they'll now be made away. They'll now be put on public sale at 10 a.m. Right, let's talk Rangers, Euan. Some transfer news to discuss. News breaking yesterday. A couple of players, of course, we've discussed Danilo and Sima in great detail over the last couple of days. That is a move that looks to be close to coming to completion. A season-long loan from Brighton and Hove Albion. There is a feeling that Rangers will have the option to make the deal permanent if Roberto De Zerbi rules that Sima is not part of his plans for the longer term in the Premier League. So that looks like one that is going to materialise. 22 years of age, of course, right-sided forward. We know him from his time at Slavia Prague. He spent time on loan. He's not played for Brighton, incidentally. Spent time on loan at Stoke City and most recently at Angers in Ligue 1 in France. But certainly a player I think the Rangers supporters will be excited at seeing in a Rangers jersey. And the other one came as sort of left field, Euan, the Feyenoord striker Danilo. Rangers have tabled a bid for him. He plays, he's a Brazilian striker. He signed for Feyenoord from Ajax. He scored 14 goals in 48 appearances last season in all competitions for the Dutch side, and they won the Eredivisie. He's 24 years of age. Apparently, the bid that Rangers have tabled has been rejected by Feyenoord. The clubs are some way apart in terms of their valuation of the player. I don't know too much about Danilo. He certainly fits the profile by all accounts, reading his stats. What do you make of that one?
In terms of Danilo, I think it's quite an interesting move. I think it maybe suggests that the Cyril Dessers transfer that's it's kind of rumbled on for weeks and weeks. I think Danilo could be a possible alternative to Dessers when you look at their profile. I think he's 3-4 years younger than Dessers. His scoring record at Feyenoord, obviously they were both at Feyenoord, weren't they? So their scoring record over there is pretty similar. I think he looks quite an exciting player. He's 24. He fits a kind of age profile for a player that could be bought and sold on in the future. His record last season was decent. I think he looks like a proper number 9 compared to Sima, who's maybe more of a wide kind of forward and will play a different sort of role at split striker. I think it's an interesting one. I mean, in terms of putting bids in and bids getting rejected, I mean that's just negotiations, isn't it? It happens with every transfer in the world. You see Declan Rice going for 100 million at the moment, and there's clubs negotiating fees, his bids getting rejected, and I think conversations will continue to take place between the two clubs, but there probably is a little bit of kind of disparity over the valuation of the player. I don't know what you think, but I think there's a kind of possibility. Would you pay a little bit more for Danilo than Dessers just due to the fact that he's 4 years younger? I think you probably would.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because the Dessers ones kind of went quiet. I know there was a report in Italy that was saying that he said no to Rangers. I mean, it's my understanding that wasn't the case. It's a bit of tomfoolery at play sometimes when the teams are negotiating a fee and clubs want things out there to maybe force another club to put their offer up. So yeah, but I think Danilo looks like an exciting prospect. I think I'd probably prefer him as a player over Dessers. So it's one to watch out. I think we'll definitely be moving on that front. I don't think Rangers are going to certainly walk away because he had one approach rebuff for the player.
Yeah, John Adams says first offer is always rejected. Yeah, there'll be a bit of negotiations going on between both clubs, but he's certainly a player that, I mean, it's an age-old saying, I think. Whenever a Brazilian player is linked, then you immediately get excited because of where he's coming from. But I think he does have a decent pedigree. Spent time on loan at 20 over in Holland as well. And at Feyenoord, of course, they won the Eredivisie for the first time since Giovanni van Bronckhorst led them to the title. So it was a fantastic achievement for them that last season. I don't know too much about the lad. I've got to admit, I'm going to be speaking to our good friend at the Feyenoord podcast, Euan Brinkel, tomorrow, who will give us a bit of an insight into him. You can watch that video, folks, on our YouTube channel. So hopefully we'll get a bit of a flavour to what we can expect if he pitches up at Ibrox. The Sima one, Euan, there was a comment coming in here. Alexander Campbell says, I just think we'll have more than one new signing in before the pre-season starts. I think 1st of July, I think, is when the team congregate. That is a Saturday, of course. By all accounts, it looks like Sima will be done by the close of the week. So that is one. Do you think there's going to be perhaps one more coming in?
No, I think Sima could well be in pre-season on Friday. I think it's close to being done, is what everybody's hearing on that. So obviously Chris had the kind of broken news yesterday that Chris Jack broke the news yesterday that Rangers could have a permanent option on the deal. I think that's fascinating, Derek, because when we were on, was it Monday, we were talking about that, and some people I'm not the biggest fan of loan deals because they feel like they're kind of developing a player for another club. But if Rangers have an option to buy, then that makes the deal even more exciting because if he comes in and he scores 10, 15, 20 goals and gets an assist and makes a real impact, then Rangers can keep him for next season and maybe tie him down in a long contract. And I think his potential's undisputed. I know you're a big fan of him from those games against Rangers. We thought he was a really good player. So
yeah.
I think that's quite an exciting signing, Sima. If you've got a loan with an option to buy, it's different from just a straight up loan, isn't it? Because you can have a little bit of security that if he does well, then he could be your player next season. And conversely, if he doesn't do well, then it's not a transfer, and you've got to try and shift him off the books again. So I think a loan with a buy option or exclusivity are generally pretty good deals for clubs. Yeah. So yeah, I think he'll be the one who'll be in for the weekend. And in terms of other players, I don't think so. I don't think there'll be another one in before Friday. You look at the players that have been heavily linked. Dessers looks like it's slowed up. Danilo's not going to be done anytime soon. Josh Maja, it's just a complicated deal because of his contract situation. And France, another one that's been heavily linked is Cifuentes. I'm pretty sure that Rangers can offer him a pre-contract deal from the start of July. So what's that, 3-4 days? So I think that's when they'll be moving on that. He's still playing for LAFC, isn't he? I think he played in their last game. So
yeah, he played recently. Yeah.
I think it's always been the case that I think terms have been agreed with the player. There's an understanding there. It just comes down to negotiating a fee with the club, and I think because of his contract situation that I'm pretty sure it expires in December. So from the start of July, that Rangers can have a little bit more power in those negotiations.
Yeah, lots of comments coming in. First of all, huge thanks to iSport Gamer in Fashion Videos, who has become a YouTube member. Thank you very much, buddy. Yeah, just to give you a bit of a brief on what that is, if you haven't already joined our YouTube channel and become a supporter, we've launched a members group on the channel for £2.99 a month. You can join the Rangers Review on our YouTube and become a member. You'll get 3 to 5 extra videos per week. There was a great video yesterday with Johnny and Chris Jack, just giving a bit of a lowdown and an insight into the state of play when it comes to transfers at Rangers, so when it comes to incomings and outgoings. Hearing great feedback from people that have signed up already, nearing, I think, 250 members already, which is absolutely fantastic. So thank you for all your support. You should be able to join. There should be a join button on our homepage of the Rangers Review YouTube channel. So if you click that, then you can sign up and become a member. Right, let's get to a few other comments that are coming in. Well, Scott Mackay, first of all, saying, getting my tickets for the live show today. Absolutely fantastic, Scott. Great to hear that. And Jack Joyce says, got an appointment with Seneca tomorrow. We'll let you all know how it goes. Please do, Jack. Let us know. Absolutely superb stuff. World's Greatest DJ says, would Danilo be the 4th Brazilian to sign on at Ibrox? Coming off the top of my head, Emerson, Kribari, can't think of any others. Jardel doesn't really count, I would say. Is there any others you can think of Brazilian-wise?
That's your speciality, Derek. I couldn't even think of one. So there we go.
Yeah, I think he may be the third. I think he may be the third Brazilian if that move comes off. Let us know if there is one more I've forgotten about, folks. And Alan Hall says, I'm a big fan of Brazilians, Ali McCosh. Yeah, I love that line when him and Walter Smith were accosted by Tam Cowan back in the day. If he's good enough for that, if they're good enough for Ali, they're good enough for me, that's for sure. Dave Fulton says, is a Danilo rumour just paper talk? Is there some substance to it? There is, Dave. A bid has been made and has been turned down by Feyenoord, but we expect Rangers to go back and some, as I mentioned earlier on, some negotiations to be carried out on that one. James Skeen says, do you think we're going to get any striker in for less than £7 million? I can't imagine they'll be paying more than £7 million, Euan, for Dessers. I know Cremonese were chancing their arm a little bit. They want to think €7 million. So I think they're. Don't imagine any club will be paying that for him. In terms of Danilo, I mean, I've seen rumoured reports of £5 million. I think Feyenoord are holding out for. I don't know the exact figure off the top of my head. Can you see Rangers spending more than £7 million on a player, do you think, this window?
I wouldn't say so, but conversely, I think that's a position where they need to spend a bit of money to bring in a bit of quality. So, could I see Rangers going to 4 or 5 million for Danilo? Yeah, I probably could. I think they need to spend big to bring in a number 9, and if it costs maybe $1 million more than they want to get the player that Michael Beale wants, and I think that you've got to back him in the window, because I think it's imperative that a new number 9 comes in this summer. If you look at the options at the moment, I don't think any you'd want to be a guaranteed starter next season. If you look at, I'm not including Lammers here, I'm saying he's more of a number 10, but if you look at Cholak, Sakala, Roof, Matondo, I don't think any of them you'd want to be starters. I think a couple of them certainly can be really good squad players next season. And if Kamara Roof gets fit, that maybe changes a little bit, but you need to bring in at least two forward players. So I think we just have to go and back Beale in the market and get in the striker that you want. So if that's Danilo and you have to go to 4 or 5 million, then I think it's a case of you have to look for ways to do it.
Yeah. Listen, Rangers, I think the vast majority of the transfer budget will be spent in the forward areas. I think that's where Rangers, it was clear that they would have to improve given the limpness last season, it's fair to say. Just a quick word, I've seen reports yesterday, Euan, about one player who has departed, Alfredo Morelos. Of course, a bit of a sad ending to his Rangers career, in all honesty. Reports that he could be heading to the Azerbaijan Premier League, which is even further afield than where I expected him to go. Don't know if he will end up there, of course, but he is without a club at the moment. Where do you think Alfredo will end up?
Who knows? If I was Alfredo, I'd be telling my agent to get on the phone to Saudi Arabia though and trying to get a move over there for the big bucks. But it's just bizarre, isn't it? I think when Morelos was at Rangers, he's probably linked something like 500 clubs. It was like every summer, every couple of weeks, it was a club in France, a club in Spain, a club in England. He was linked with so many clubs, and it's came to a situation where, at the moment, it doesn't look like any clubs are really, really going for him. Maybe he's not got the options that he thought he would after leaving Rangers. Because I moved to Azerbaijan. It could be good money and stuff like that. But he's 27 years old. He's at the peak of the career. You look back a couple of seasons ago, and he was shining on the European stage, wasn't he? And he looked like a top striker. So, it's a bit of a coming, isn't it? If he does have to go to an Azerbaijan or I think Caroline Point's decent, isn't it? You hear clubs like Sevilla interested, and then nothing materialises. So I think a move to Azerbaijan would be a bit of a depressing one from Morelos' point of view, given the fact that he was a few years ago he looked like he could get a move to one of the top 5 leagues.
Yeah, just saying, I think his peak is past. To be honest, I would love to see him reach the heights of the 1920 season for a club elsewhere. I just can't see it though. I think Rangers will have had the best of Alfredo Morelos. It remains to be seen if that will be the case, of course. But yeah, at the moment, without a club. Scott Mackay, just going back to Jardel. Why did Jardel not sign anyway? Dodgy medical. No, it was red tape back in the day, 1995, I'm sure it was. I was absolutely gutted, I've got to say, at the time. I was hugely excited about seeing him in a Rangers jersey. There was a number of supporters that were excited at seeing his wife in the stands as well, who's certainly a looker, but it was exotic. He came over. He was in the stands actually for a game as well, and it didn't happen due to work permit issues. He went on, of course, starred for Porto, scored about 1 million goals, and then scored against Rangers for Galatasaray in the Champions League, and that 3-2 win for them. Van Bronckhorst actually scored one of the best free kicks I think I've ever seen, one of the hardest struck free kicks of all time, I think. But Rangers ended up on the losing side. Jardel scoring a volley on that night. But yeah, it didn't materialise, unfortunately. Ended up at Bolton, and he was way past his best by that point. But I digress. Big thanks to Stephen Taylor, who is joined to become a YouTube member. Thank you very much for your support, Stephen. Point raised here by Day in the Life. How do you pay for the year? There's not an option to pay for a year on YouTube. You can pay for a year. We have got an offer on the website at the moment. Lots of great content on there. £18 it is for an entire year. If you head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe, then you can sign up for that. And there's a great article on there this morning that leads me nicely on, Euan, from yourself on Rabbi Matondo. Seen an image of him on a bike recently, getting ready for pre-season. Not many people are discussing Rabbi. There's a bit of a feeling that he may be heading for pastures new. Do you think there's a place in Michael Beale's squad next season for Rabbi Matondo?
It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to envisage him getting serious minutes next season. It's a great segue into Matondo. I also seen he was out in Mykonos. Lovely place to be at this time of year compared to Glasgow. But he was wearing James Tavernier's top, Tavernier 2 in the back. So that was quite interesting. You often see players kind of wearing other players' match strips. So I think that's on his Instagram. Yeah, so I wrote about Matondo because we were kind of discussing, kind of content ideas. It's gone very quiet, hasn't it, on Rabbi? You've not heard much about him. If you look at people, what they'd love to do in the summer, they put together their strongest teams for next season, and I don't think Matondo would feature in any of them. And he's a player who was probably one of the marquee signings last season under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. I think Rangers paid around 2.5 million to bring him to Ibrox. So it's curious, what kind of happens with him next season, because the expectation is that Michael Beale won't play with wingers. Matondo's naturally a wide player. So, where does he play in Beale's system if he goes with split strikers? He'd have to be one of the centre forwards. So, I kind of looked at it in the article. It's obviously on the website if you want to go and read it. You'd probably suggest that Matondo would be 6th or 7th choice at centre forward next season if they bring in Sima and one of Danilo or Madja, because he'll be behind the likes of Kamara Roof. I compared him to Sakala in the article, just looking at their numbers, and Sakala's a really, really efficient player, especially under Michael Beale. I think he scored a lot. He scored, I think it was 16 goal contributions in total. I think 10 of those goal contributions came when Rangers were either in losing positions or drawing in the game. So he was making a real impact under Michael Beale. Matondo didn't score a single goal for Rangers last season. So it's difficult. There's obviously a player in there. I think Schalke paid £11 million to take him to the Bundesliga. He had a decent season in Belgium before coming to Rangers. So I can't see how he fits into Michael Beale's system. But then you've got a problem where you've got a player who's on decent wages. I don't want to speculate on that, but I mean, you've got a player on decent wages who hasn't played. I think he missed 3 months of the season with an unspecified injury last season. Beale started him in three games post split. He started as a striker against Celtic, so that shows you, where he'll probably play next season if he's going to get minutes. I think it might be quite difficult to shift Matondo this summer. There's no expectation that that's what Rangers are looking to do at the moment. But I don't know how he fits in. It's going to be a big pre-season. I think there's a player in there. I genuinely do. I think there is a player in there, but how does he get regular minutes? I'm kind of struggling to see that, but I think it's a big pre-season for him. I think he'll get his chance in pre-season to impress, and he simply kind of got to take it. I don't know what you think on Matondo, Derek.
Yeah, James Skeen raises an interesting point. Some players do better second season. Hopefully Matondo can do that. There's been much better players than Rabbi Matondo that have struggled initially at Rangers and went on and become real fan favourites. Mark Hateley comes to mind as one. Ali McCoy went through a barren spell at one point. There has been others, of course, as well. It's an I'm torn on Matondo. Like you said, Michael Beale isn't necessarily play with out-and-out wingers. Don't see where he fits in. If Rangers receive an offer, if Rangers get their money back for Rabbi Matondo, I'll be biting your hand off, I think, for that one. I've not seen enough from him that would suggest he's going to improve. That being said, I remember pre-season last year speaking to fans when we went over to the Union San Gilloise game, and they were all excited about seeing him after his brilliant pre-season. Of course, he impressed against West Ham. I think Tottenham as well. He did well, and he just looked bright, he looked fresh, full of energy. It looked exciting as well, but unfortunately, for some reason or another, just hasn't quite happened for him at Rangers. Like you say, Euan, he did have an injury at some point. I think the misses up at Dingwall didn't help, and he had another sitter as well, didn't he? I can't remember where it was. Was it Ibrox? I think he had one. You certainly looked like a player that was lacking in confidence. Michael Beale did say he was someone that suffered a crisis of confidence at the time, so maybe he just needs an arm around him.
Yeah, so I mentioned that in the piece, everything he said there. Obviously, last pre-season, I think fans were very excited about Matondo. He didn't replicate those performances in the league, and eventually kind of lost his starting place under Van Bronckhorst. So Beale made those comments about him lacking confidence and saying that Beale thought there was a player in there. I think it was maybe a few weeks after coming into the job. I think it was after playing Ross County, actually. But literally 2 weeks later, he was out for 3 months with an unspecified injury. So I said that in the article, it's difficult to gauge what Michael Beale thinks of Rabbi Matondo. He did play him towards the end of the season when Beale's focus switched to the upcoming season, and he gave players opportunities. Like Yilmaz, came in, got an opportunity, he took his. Matondo didn't really grab the Bulls by the horn, but
no,
I don't know. It's literally an interesting one. It was his first season in Scotland. He had to acclimatise to living in a new country, a new league. But I mean, he has played in England before, so it's not as if he's coming from Colombia or some exotic faraway place. He has played in Britain before, so you'd think he'd have a little bit more understanding of the league. But moving to a new country at a young age can be difficult. So I agree with Ian's point. I think pre-season's massive for him. I think he should get a chance to impress in pre-season. And if he takes it, great. That's another option for Rangers. If he doesn't, it'll be difficult for him to play regularly. And you don't really want a player who's on decent money by all accounts, kind of sitting on the bench and not really contributing. Like you said, Derek, I think if a bid came in, say he doesn't impress in pre-season, and a bid comes in later in the window, which Rangers will recoup their money on him. Yeah, I think they'd look at it. That's not. But I don't think Rangers are actively out there looking to sell him at the moment. I think he's a player who has potential and will, get his chance in pre-season. But then, you seen last pre-season he played really well and then didn't, kick on in the league. So I mean, you can't put too much weight on performances in pre-season, I think.
Yeah, lots of interesting comments coming in. Dean Milne says, I can't wait too long for Matondo Abada hit the ground running at 19 straight away. Either way, hope he kicks on, he says. Sneaky Bear was looking for his comment to be read out. I was just having a look for it, buddy. Just back to Morelos. He says, Alfie is finished. He'll be regretting not playing 100% last season. As I mentioned on Morelos, I don't think he's done himself any favours with how he's conducting himself at points last season. I think he's one of a number of players at Ibrox I think maybe have been kept on for perhaps a season longer than they should have done. But it will be interesting to see where he ends up. Huge thanks, incidentally, to our new members I mentioned earlier on. The iSport Gamer and Fashion videos. He's donated £4.99 to the channel. Keep up the good work, lads. Thank you very much, buddy. It is greatly appreciated. Right, folks, now is the time. I think I'll just remind you of that live show. Tickets go on sale in 3 minutes' time. I'm just going to pop in the link, edmontonhouse.co.uk is where you can buy tickets for the live show on July the 28th. It's a Friday night. Doors open at 6:30. So do go and head over to that website if you're wanting to head along to what will sure be an exciting night at Edmiston House. Can't wait to perform there. Myself, as I mentioned, Johnny, Joshua, Stevie Clifford will be there alongside an extra special guest as well. So, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Just John says, whereabouts can I find tickets for the live show at 10 a.m? Just told you there, John, it's I've just popped the website in the description box. So click on that. Just refresh it. It will become available at 10 a.m. and it will give you the opportunity to go in and buy tickets. The price, the front row seats, £25. Other tickets, £20 on there. So go and check it out. Right, I was wanting to... Thompson says Edmonton House supplied a high chair for Stevie. I'm sure they'll cater for all our needs, Ian. He's a bit of a diva, Stevie. I'm sure he'll be writing down his demands and what he expects from New Edmonton House. No, serious note, it's great to have everyone taking part in that. You won't be there, but you'll be in Germany at Hoffenheim covering the first pre-season game the following day as Rangers take on the Hoffenheim, which I've got to say I'm quite excited about seeing Rangers in action. I'm sure there'll be one or two new faces in that side. We shouldn't read too much into pre-season, of course, in terms of results and what have you. It's all about gaining fitness, but certainly a trip following Rangers that I'm sure you'll enjoy.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. It's a quick turnaround. We're in Canada for 2 weeks, then the next day I'm flying out to Hoffenheim, so that'll be interesting. I don't know too much about it. I think the village it's called like Heidelberg or something like that. So Hoffenheim's not actually a place; it's just a name of the team. It's quite a small village. So I don't even know where I'm flying to be honest. Johnny's on the details. But yeah, looking forward to it. It'll be interesting to see if any fans go over for it. I don't think there will be. They'll travel in their droves as they always do. I think, if I'm right in thinking, that's the only away pre-season fixture that's been confirmed. I think home ties confirmed against Newcastle. Of course, Alan McGregor's testimonial. We've got Hamburg coming to Ibrox as well. The talks of Olympiacos also potentially coming to Ibrox. I do love an away day, though. I mean, speaking to fans at Bury at the weekend, everyone loves an away day. They travel in their numbers, of course, and I'm sure they will do likewise over there. I was going to say Hoffenheim, but I never knew it was just a team name and not a place. So I'm Yeah, so I watched one of those videos on YouTube. It was like 10 things to. I was typing in 10 things to do in Hoffenheim, and nothing came up. I was like, a bit perplexed. And I actually googled it. It's like a wee small town. I think they've got a bit of money behind them. Like John said, I think I'm either flying to Frankfurt or Stuttgart. I probably should know this, but considering I'm going next month, but I'm not that organised on the flight details. But it should be good. And it's also a little bit of a research trip ahead of next summer. Fingers crossed, when Scotland are hopefully over in Germany for the Euros as well. So, no, very much looking forward to. Should be a decent game, a decent test. I mean, you should hopefully get some good access and a good talk, and there'll probably be by that time a lot of new faces on show.
Yeah. Right, folks, that's the tickets now live, available to buy for the live show. We'll sign off at this point in time. Huge thanks to Euan and everyone for interacting with the show. As ever, it is greatly appreciated. As I mentioned earlier on, there will be some extra content coming your way in the next day or two with regards to transfer chats. As I mentioned, I'm speaking to Johan Brinkel once again to get a flavour of what we can expect from Danilo if that move comes off. If you are a YouTube fan, if you've not seen the match vlog, if you like, from Bury at the weekend, that is on there. You can go and have a look at that. And plenty of content on the website, as we discussed there. Euan's piece on Rabbi Matondo. Martin Ramsey's also written a brilliant piece on there on the Rangers, dating all the way back to the first ever game, that goalless draw against Calendar in that challenge match, back in May 1872. He's an absolutely fabulous writer, Martin, so do go and check it out, folks. We'll be back again tomorrow, but until then, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.